Mr. Transformers 96 here with another video review. This time we'll be talking about a newly shown Transformers figure. It's from the Studio series, and it's the last record being Leadfoot. So this is quite exciting. This is a figure that really needed to be made, so I'm happy that they finally did make him. I feel like they should have started out with him and then did Roadbuster and Topspin. But nonetheless, even though he's the last one of the group, I think that it's still good that we're getting him. So let's go over it. A new, completely new sculpt, obviously. Looking quite nice. Definitely an improvement over the original, and there was a lot of issues with the original's release, which I'll go over a bit too, and I'll show them side by side so that we can get a comparison. But before I do so, let's just talk about the general sculpt as it is. Really nice. I think that the body and the head is all perfect. Like, I really don't see anything that I dislike about this section. The only thing maybe is, maybe if you could, like, this the light section, maybe split that a little bit so it looks less like a complete front hood, but overall that's kind of his look, with that kind of front hood look giving him almost a bit of a beer belly. His arms, I think, look quite nice. Maybe a little bit of red on his arms would be good, but not really necessary. Overall, they look like a pretty solid transformation. The legs are the one thing that I have issues with. I think that the design of the legs is great. I really don't have a problem with them. If anything, maybe they can shorten this a little bit. Maybe you should have a little bit shorter legs just to give him more of a stocky proportion. But with the right pose, which is basically just having his knee bent and having his legs a little more forward, you can kind of achieve that effect. But I wish that there was more than just the red chunks. He's got, just a red chunk here and a red chunk here with just small gray pieces separating them. So I like it if there was a little bit more gray in here rather than just so much red. So that's one thing. I wish that there was a little bit more of a meld between gray and red when it comes to the arms and the legs. The arms, though, they don't look too, not having the red doesn't bother me too much, but the legs having all the red, that bothers me a little, to be honest. He does come with his little steel jaw pet. That's interesting. I'm surprised that they're including it. They obviously released it for the Human Alliance Leadfoot that came out when the original movie was released. They released that little figure, this little steel jaw, and it's basically just from the concept art. It was obviously something that never actually made it into the movie, so I understand why it was released for the Human Alliance one. For this one, they're obviously very much well aware that it was never in the movie, so they still decided to add it, which I think is actually kind of cool. It's not something that's super necessary, but I kind of like it, and I'm very surprised that they added it, because they could easily not have, and saved a little money, and nobody would complain about not having that, so I'm pretty happy. Going over some of the other pictures, as you can see his backdrop, and he's got some weapons you can load him up on. Really, sculpt-wise, I think it's fantastic. The only issues that I have with it at all is paint-related. As you can see here, no articulation on steel jaw. He's, nicely sculpted, but very, just static in what you can do with him, of course. As you can see, very cool. I think that he looks like a great figure. You have the logos here with the Target symbol. This is obviously a Target exclusive. It went on pre-order today, and it was a disappointing pre-order. I was definitely ready to pre-order it. Unfortunately, what happened is, at the time that it was slated to go on pre-order, the page came up, you clicked on it, and it was immediately sold out. But apparently, I did see somebody post that they got one on pre-order, so I think that there was actually a way to pre-order this. I'm not sure, because even on the one that that stated that he got it on pre-order, all the comments in it are people in the same predicament as me, where as soon as the page, was active, it was sold out. So I'm not quite sure how much of a release they did, or how people could actually pre-order it, because it didn't seem like there was an opportunity to at all. So I'm very disappointed, to be honest, that I wasn't able to get it. I'm sure that we'll be able to get it once the official release comes out. If anything, when it comes just to regular Target exclusive figures, pop-wise they're hard to get, but regular exclusive figures from Target, usually you can get them once they're released. Doing a bit of a comparison here, we have the kind of original Leadfoot from Dark of the Moon when that movie came out in 2011. I have his CGI render, and then have the new figure here. As you can see, the old one was, it's a fine figure. I don't have an issue with the old one, at the time. I think that now this new version is much better. I think that the design of it is a lot cooler. Again, the only issues that I have is that I wish that there was a little bit more fluid nature with the paint when it comes to his limbs, because his limbs are a little blocky when it comes to paint. I wish that, you know, there was a little more of a mixture there. But overall, the design of him I think is great. I think that his head looks really nice. I never really realized it with the original figure, but I guess his head was too small. I'm looking at this new one and looking at just the CG render here. His head should be bigger, so I definitely like the fact that his head is larger. Maybe if his head was kind of settled a little lower in his body, that would kind of look cool. He almost has no neck in the image of him from the film, but obviously the figure, his head is kind of up a little bit. He's got a bit of a neck there. Overall, though, I think proportion-wise, he's very good, and just a solid design overall. So with the original figure that came out, the way that was released, or kind of released, is that it was part of like the last series for Dark of the Moon, which ended up being canceled. And that last series had some great characters in it, like Leadfoot, the last Wrecker to complete your Wrecker set. There was Soundwave, and Q. There was a really good, solid assortment that was canceled only in the United States. So Hasbro canceled their last series. Dakara still released theirs. So you could still get it, but you had to import it from overseas. I did that because I was really wanting them, so I imported all three. But one disappointment about getting the Dakara version of Leadfoot over Hasbro's is that just because of licensing issues, the Dakara version does not have any logos on it that represent the company that the race car advertises for. So because of that, it was a plain design. It didn't have the Target logo right on the chest like it should, you know, things like that. So now getting this new version allows us to have those logos, at least Target. You know, I wish that they painted the 42 in the little doors here. That would have been nice too. But nonetheless, I'm glad we're getting the proper advertisements on it, so that's cool. And yeah, the original Leadfoot is a nice figure. He feels a little hollow in some of his design, like his back piece. You know, you can really like put your hand through it almost from the back to his actual just torso itself. When you're looking at him straight on, he looks bulky. When you look at him from the side, though, you can see that there's a lot of hollow spaces within that bulk. So that's a little disappointing, which that seems to be fixed here with this new version. So overall, I'm very excited for this new figure. I'm really hoping that we can all get it because of how the pre-order worked. It might be a difficult one to get, but we'll see. I'm going to keep an eye and see if this thing kind of restocks at all today. If it does, I'm going to absolutely pre-order as soon as I can because I do really want to complete the Wreckers. Roadbuster is the only one that's out right now, and that's a great figure. I actually really enjoy it, so I'm looking forward to getting the Topspin and Leadfoot, the new versions of them, and having an updated version of that team. So there you go, that's my thoughts on this new Transformers Studio Series, Target exclusive with Leadfoot figure. Thanks so much for watching.